Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Here's an interesting fact to think about. The New Hampshire primary took place less than a year ago. It was February 11th, 2020. Now think back, if you'd asked anyone who knows a lot about politics on that day, who was going to be the Democratic nominee, likely not one of them would have predicted Joe Biden. Biden came in 5th in New Hampshire, below Bernie Sanders, below Pete Buttigieg, below Amy Klobuchar, below Elizabeth Warren, just above some weird finance guy from California called Tom Steyer. In the end, Biden won a total of 8% of the vote in New Hampshire. Now, for a former vice president with 50 years of public service, that was a thoroughly humiliating performance. But it was not surprising. Even Democrats considered Joe Biden a sad old fool, worn out, empty, and confused, a ghost from a working-class Union-centered Democratic Party that disappeared decades before. Again, that was just in February. But next week, Joe Biden will be sworn in as President of the United States. How exactly that all happened, how Biden went from a much-mocked afterthought, liked by some but respected by nobody, to becoming the single most powerful man in the world at the age of almost 80, is a remarkable story. Someday, when the mania recedes and we can all agree to stop lying for a moment, it will be told. But in the meantime, here's part of that story. Joe Biden didn't seem scary. That was not a small thing in a year when our core institutions appeared to be falling apart. Biden's PR team told voters that Donald Trump was a divisive figure. Even many of Donald Trump's own voters had to admit there was some truth in that. So Biden pledged to be the opposite. Biden promised to be America's gentle grandfather, gathering the nation around the hearth, soothing hurt feelings. Biden promised to unite the country. He said so again and again.
You want us to hear one another again, see one another again, respect one another again. So let's begin the work to heal, to unite. The only way we can do it is to come together as fellow Americans, as neighbors. If we open our arms rather than brandishing our fist, we can, with the help of God, heal.
Holy smokes, yes. Let's begin the work to heal, to unite, to come together as neighbors, to open our arms to the people around us. They're Americans too. All of us live under God. We should be united. That was the pitch. He seemed to kind of mean it. Joe Biden would emulate President-elect Ronald Reagan after his contentious campaign with Jimmy Carter 40 years ago. According to Ken Kachigian, who was there, he's a speechwriter for Reagan, quote, among the first instructions Reagan gave was to be careful not to take a crack at the previous administration. And that seemed like the kind of gentle, unifying approach that Joe Biden might take. No cheap shots, no attacks on his predecessor. It's time to heal as Americans under God. That was the idea. Before long, Biden was on TV comparing sitting U.S. senators to Nazis. Last week, as thousands of Trump supporters gathered in Washington and tens of millions more of them watched on television, Joe Biden made certain to remind every one of them that they voted for a disgusting man, probably because they're disgusting too.
He is not fit to serve. He is not fit to serve. He's one of the most incompetent presidents in the history of the United States of America. He's exceeded even my worst notions about him. He's been an embarrassment to the country.
So you say Trump lost, but you're attacking him anyway and the people who voted for him. Maybe you're not the loving grandfather dispensing wisdom in front of the fire. Maybe that's not the presidency we're actually getting. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised because the real Joe Biden has a tendency to scream at people who disagree with him.
Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done. No president.
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? I'm not out of time. You spoke over time, and I'm going to talk. Here's the deal. Fact of the matter is, look at what's happening here. Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that?
Who said that?
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
Well, that's not loving, conciliatory grandpa. That's angry grandpa. And Democrats are happy with that version of Joe Biden. They never had any interest in the conciliatory version. Appeals to unity won't in the end make them more powerful. With Trump leaving, Democrats are going to need a new enemy to hate, because hate is what holds their party together.